Mr. Keita.
Yeah, doctor.
Yeah, it's okay now. We can start.
Okay, thank you so much for. Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mr. Keita, the moderator. I would like, first of all, before I'm starting, to thank the head of the institution. Dean Professor Mahiblo, Dr. Alassane Abdoulaye DIA, head of department, Dr. Vieux Demba CISSOKO, teacher at University of American, and all dear colleagues and students who are here attending this important masterclass. So first of all, I would like just to remind you of the agenda. We have, normally we should have started since 9:30, and then at 9:35, it will be given the floor to the representative. First of all, the welcoming words of the head of department, Dr. Abdoulaye DIA. That being said, now we're going to give the floor to Dr. Vieux Demba CISSOKO, and then the floor will be given to the director head, Mr. Dr. Alassane, but who is unavailable today. But I think his speech will be led by his colleague, Dr. Abdoulaye DIA. After that, now we're gonna, move to the presentations. And as you know, today we will deal with a very important topic, a topical issue, which is how to write a successful proposal for a master's thesis. I think we need to focus on that, okay? And then if you see that the import of this workshop is just based on a reality. The outcome of a student is just at the end of his academic, career to write a thesis. But despite the numerous, attempts we have done so far, still now some students are facing some problem. That's why the head of this institution have seized this opportunity to come back to this in order to provide students with some skills that can help them really, write a good, master's thesis. That's why we will have two presentations. First of all, Dr. Demba CISSOKO, as a linguist, he will talk about that. And then Dr. Abdoulaye DIA will come back to, to insist on, the items related to the writing, of the thesis. So, and then we will open a list to help students, give their contributions, ask questions. Before now we close, we close, the session. So first of all, now, if everything is okay, we're going to give the floor now to Dr. Abdoulaye DIA, the head of the department, for his welcoming words. Dr. DIA, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Keita. Can you hear me all?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Dear colleagues, dear staff and pedagogical team members, dear tutors, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to this important masterclass on how to write a successful proposal for a master's thesis. As a scholar and chair of the Department of English, I consider this session more than an academic activity on our calendar. It is part of our responsibility to prepare our students for one of the most important stages of their journey at university. The master's dissertation is not simply a final academic requirement that the students must complete at the end of their studies. It is an important component of their academic training. It is where they are expected to demonstrate their capacities to think independently, to engage with knowledge, to conduct research, and to make meaningful academic contribution. However, we all know that this stage is not always easy. Over the last 2 years, we have listened carefully to the experiences and difficulties of our students. We have noticed that some face challenges when they reach the stage of preparing and writing their master's dissertation. These challenges are sometimes related to academic writing, and most of these are typically related to research preparation. Sometimes they are related to confidence, organization, methodological understanding, or simply knowing how to move from the idea of becoming a researcher. At an academic institution, we cannot simply observe these difficulties. We have a responsibility to respond. And this is a reason why, within our pedagogical and scientific action plan, we have decided to take this dimension seriously. This is a pillar of the learner-centered approach, which we truly value. Today's masterclass is therefore part of a broader effort of capacity building, academic support, pedagogical remediation, and scientific vibrancy. We want to create better conditions for our students to succeed. We want to accompany them before difficulties become obstacles. And above all, we want to build a strong culture of research within our department. As no strong academic program can exist without a strong pedagogical team, investing in people is crucial. This year, our team has been strengthened with 4 new colleagues, 1 position in linguistics and grammar, 1 faculty in African literature, 1 in African civilization, and 1 in British civilization. So I would like to seize this opportunity to congratulate all new faculty members, namely Dr. Mariama Sodandao, Dr. Pierre Maliktin, Dr. Muhammadu Samsudin Sajo, and Dr. Usainu Joub for their recruitment. They cannot join us today because they are very busy with administrative formalities. The same as Dr. Sane, who is the Dean of the School of Humanities, Social Sciences, and Education, who is busy with administrative duty. But I'm going to speak on behalf of all of them. So in the same vein, the number of tutors has increased from 38 to 50 this year. Among these, about 15 are PhD holders. Others are currently completing their doctoral studies. Some tutors are seasoned ESL experts and teachers, among whom Mr. Seydou Keita, our moderator today. These figures and profiles are very important, but what matters even more is what they represent. An investment in people, in expertise, in supervision, in quality, and ultimately in our students. This is how we build academic capacity. This is how we strengthen our department. This momentum translates into a vision, how we prepare the next generation of graduates and researchers. At this point, I would like to take the moment to express my sincere appreciation to the entire pedagogical team for their commitment. A special thanks go to Dr. Mahiblo, who is doing an excellent job as a master program manager. I would like you to give him a round of applause, please. I know that I sometimes ask for more, when perhaps less will be easier, but I'm glad that we understand the rigor has never been about making our work more difficult. It is about making it better for all of us. There is a reason why I believe that we must continue to challenge ourselves. Because as educators, we cannot ask our students to pursue excellence if we are not prepared to pursue excellence ourselves. When guided by purpose and respect, rigor is not an obstacle to education. It is one of the foundations of quality education. So, dear colleagues, I thank you for your collaboration and for standing together as a team. We may not always agree on everything. We may have different opinions and perspectives and different ways of approaching our work, but we share these essential objectives: the advancement of our institution, the success of our students, and the academic quality of our program. These objectives must always bring us together. to our students, whether you are of cohort 6, cohort 7, cohort 8, or cohort 9, or the continuing education master's program, you have invested time, effort, sacrifice, and determination to reach this stage. Do not underestimate that achievement. I also would like you to understand that the master's journey requires another level of commitment. The dissertation may appear intimidating because the word thesis itself can sometimes create fear. But as a leader and a scholar, I want to share with you my philosophy. Never accept the word impossible in your dictionary. Never. I still believe in that principle. The word impossible can intimidate you. It can discourage you before you have even started. It can impose its own meaning upon you. But sometimes what we call impossible is simply something we have not yet learned how to accomplish. So challenge it, question it. When you deconstruct it and challenge it, impossible finally accepts to be positive and comes to your side. Then everything becomes possible. As Nelson Mandela put it, I quote, "It always seems impossible until it is done," unquote. But how much time would it take to be there? It is just a matter of will and motivation. That simple change in attitude can transform your entire journey. So I encourage you to be strong and to have a lot of motivation. This is why today's session is very important. We have organized it because we want you to succeed. We want you to approach your master's dissertation with greater confidence. The department is committed to supporting your academic development. But support must go in hand with responsibility. We should guide you and advise you. Therefore, I invite each of you to make the most of this opportunity. Listen carefully during the session, participate, and ask questions, and also share your concerns. And above all, let us continue to build our department with excellence, because it is important. Excellence is not merely expected, but collectively pursued. I wish you all a very fruitful and inspiring masterclass. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you zillions of time, Dr. Ja, for, I think you deserve a thunder of applause. Thank you so much for, so let me just sort out the key point of his speech. First of all, Dr. Ja uses a metaphor saying that, you know, writing a thesis, a master thesis is like a journey. And that journey is full of hinders, of obstacles, but not hiccups. We can, I mean, with many efforts, we can come through. So that being said now, you know, the objective behind this masterclass is just to, I mean, endow to, you know, students with skills to help them be, I mean, free in the field of critical thinking, to develop their capacity, the knowledge production capacities, in order to be, you know, able to write, to reach their target. And as the saying goes, never say die. As you know, the sky should be the limit. That being said, now we're going to move to the next, I mean, lecturer. And here I would like just to raise something important. It is the role of tutors. Right now, we're going to give the floor to the representative of tutors. Tutors are, you know, a big chunk of, you know, the heavy responsibility that is laying on the shoulders of, I mean, teachers. The staff. Teachers are playing a very important role. That's why we're going to give the floor to our colleague, Mr. Mahmoud Tal, to say, I mean, his speech on the behalf of tutors. Mr. Tal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Keita. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure to be here today and to speak on behalf of all the tutors. First, I would like to sincerely thank the organizers for giving us the opportunity to take part in this valuable masterclass. It is a great opportunity for us to learn, to share our experiences, and grow together as educators. And as tutors, our mission is not only to teach, we also guide, we support, and motivate our students, especially when they face difficulties. And of course, seeing our students make progress and succeed is one of the greatest rewards of our work. Nowadays, education is changing very quickly, especially with the development of new technologies. And as teachers, we need to be open to new change, to be open to new challenges, to keep learning and to improve the way we teach. This masterclass is also a good opportunity for us to discover new ideas, to exchange experiences, and to learn from one another. And I hope that by working together and sharing our knowledge, we can become better educators and give our students even better support. Finally, on the behalf of all the teachers, I would like to thank the organizers and all our colleagues for their commitment, dedication, and hard work. Let us continue to learn together, work together, and grow together. Thank you very much for organizing this wonderful masterclass. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, dear colleague Mr. Tal, for your, outstanding speech. I think students have understood that, the role teachers have been playing so far. They are, supporters, they are guides, they are facilitators. So now, I think, I don't know, Doctor, do I need to give you back the floor, or you have, because it should be.
No, you go directly.
Okay, so now I think, now we're going to start now the presentations. I think, the speeches have, lifted the corner of a veil, saying that this moment is of a paramount importance. And students, I'm telling you, you are lucky enough, because here we have the right man at the right place. We have some experts, we have some dinosaur of pedagogy. Okay, and then they're gonna give you all, the details you need in order to write a good master's thesis. So now, before giving the floor to Dr. Demba CISSOKO, I would like to, if you allow me, just to say a few
Mr.
words.
Keita, sorry, can you turn on your camera?
Okay, yeah.
The technicians are asking me to inform you to turn on your camera. Sorry,
okay.
Go on.
Okay, no problem. Go on. Okay, is okay now?
Yes.
Is okay? Okay. Is okay now?
Go on, yes.
Can you see me now? Is okay? Okay. So, is okay? Yeah, so now, would you allow me to say a few words about, the presenter, Dr. Demba CISSOKO, just to summarize his pedagogic, career. So, yeah, Dr. Vieux Demba CISSOKO is an assistant professor of English language at the University Numérique Anta Diop, UNCSK, in Senegal. Yeah, his specialty is, language, linguistic grammar, and social linguistics. And his research interest includes social linguistics, language contact, multilingualism, language variation, language policy, and language and identity, with particular focus on African multilingual context. His research also explore other domains like language contact and linguistic change, especially the interaction between Mandinka and Fulakunda in southern Senegal. At Cheikh Hamid Kane University, Dr. CISSOKO is also involved in academic coordination and digital language education. He has contributed to the COLOS, it stands for Center of Language Outreach, Research and Study, which is a program conducted in partnership with Force N, which supports, students' English proficiency through interactive talking hours sessions. Last but not least, through his teaching and research, Dr. CISSOKO is committed to advancing English language education, multilingualism, inclusive digital education, and social linguistic research in Senegal and beyond. So this is briefly speaking, the path through which our colleague Dr. CISSOKO had gone through. Now, Dr. CISSOKO, you are given the floor.
Thank you, dear moderator.
Can you hear me, Doctor? Okay.
You're welcome. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
You.
Of course.
So thank
you
very much, dear colleague, Dr. Mr. Keta Sedu, and my colleague Alassane Abdoulaye DIA, all faculty members, the representative of tutors, but also to all students of the master program. I don't know whether Dean Law is around or not, but we are extending our really heartfelt thanks to him for his non-failing support. Following my colleague Alassane Abdoulaye DIA, I have the honor to take the floor this morning on the occasion of this masterclass to give a presentation on master's thesis writing techniques in linguistics and grammar. I think this is a last to the minutes change because I was expected to take the floor after Mr. DIA, after his presentation. I was supposed to present after him, but no problem. Without further delay, I'm going to share my screen to start my presentation. Okay, on the occasion of this master class. So, how to write a successful research proposal in linguistics and grammar. Here you have the outline of my presentation. First of all, have the introduction and background of the study, statement of the problem, justification and interest of the topic, objectives of the topic. So in the objectives, you have general objective, specific objectives. And the following point will be research questions, research hypothesis, and then you have the central hypothesis, secondary hypothesis, research methodology, data collection, data analysis, data interpretation, review of the related literature, and theoretical framework, references, or bibliography. First of all, we're going to try to talk about or ask a question on what a research proposal is. As you may know, a research proposal is a formal academic document that presents a systematic plan for conducting a research study. In so doing, it outlines, the research problem, explains the significance of the study, reviews relevant literature, identifies the theoretical and conceptual frameworks, and describes the methodology that will be used to collect, analyze, and interpret data. But the primary purpose of a research proposal is to demonstrate that the proposed study is original. So originality is fundamental in any research program or research proposal. It should be relevant, it should be feasible, and methodologically sound. It serves as a blueprint for the research process, guiding both the researcher and the supervisor from the initial conception of the study and its successful completion, meaning from the inception of the writing to the end or the completion of your writing. According to Creswell and Creswell, a research proposal is, I quote, a written plan that describes the proposed study in sufficient detail to convince readers of its importance and appropriateness of the procedures that will be used to conduct it, and quote. Similarly, Kumar defines a research proposal as a comprehensive document that specifies what the researcher intends to investigate, why the study is important, and how the investigation will be carried out. Because in any research project, you should, say, why is the study important for you, but for the science or the scientific academic world, okay? And then how you intend to carry out your research, okay? What are the different tools you need to resort to, or what are the specific methods, okay, you need to adopt to reach your goal. And in the same vein, Booth and Arn argue that a research proposal is an intellectual argument designed to persuade readers that the research problem is significant, that a genuine gap exists in current knowledge, and that the proposed methods are capable of producing valid and meaningful findings. You know, before you intend any research program or research proposal, you need, first of all, let's say reveal that there is an existing gap, okay, in the domain you want to, investigate, okay, and that you need to fill, okay, that existing gap. This will be your contribution to, to the research in the domain. Background of the study. In the background of the study, first of all, we need to precise that the background of the study is one of the most essential sections of the research proposal because it introduces the reader to the context in which the research problem exists. It provides the historical, theoretical, practical information necessary to understand why the study is important and worth investigating. Because you just can't wake up one day and say, okay, I want to write on let's say, multilingualism, okay, in the southern part of Senegal or in Senegal, for instance. But you should be motivated. What are the motivations? Okay, what are the main reasons which push you to be indulged in such a project? Okay, and this section should demonstrate that the researchers' familiarity with the existing body of knowledge and shows how the proposed study fits within the broader academic discussion. Because in every domain, so you have, scholars who produce, okay, let's say paramount researches in the domains, but you need to bring your contribution to that domain, okay, through your dissertation writing. You are contributing in the domain. And according to Creswell and Creswell still, the background establishes the foundation of the study by reviewing existing knowledge, identifying trends, and highlighting the issues that necessitate further investigation. Because in reviewing the existing, okay, literature, all right, meaning contribution of different authors still in the domain, okay, so you are going to, let's say, establish, okay, or identify, okay, what are the contributions made by those authors or those scholars or research papers, okay? What are, the gaps, okay? What are the parts which remain underexplored, and then what will be your contribution, okay, to fill in the gaps? A well-written background explains what is already known about the topic. It summarizes the current state of knowledge by presenting major theories, concepts, and empirical findings from previous studies. Rather than merely listing studies, the researcher synthesizes the literature to show patterns, agreements, and significant developments in the field. You know, while writing, for example, while dealing with, you know, background, or let's say the review of the literature or the state of art, you are not just going to list the list of contributors, okay, on the topics. No, you need to, first of all, synthesize, to summarize what their contributions were, okay, and then try to identify, okay, you know, elements which were, according to you, underexplored, and you are going to, let's say, revert on those underexplored, okay, elements that to complete, okay, or let's say to bring your contribution to this field of study. And this demonstrates that the researcher understands the evolution of the topic and is building upon established scholarly work, okay? So Booth and Colomb and Williams argue that an effective research background should guide readers through the existing literature and help them understand the intellectual context of the proposed research. The background should also explain what previous researchers have discovered. This involves discussing important findings, methodologies, and conclusions from earlier studies while acknowledging their contributions to the field. The researcher should identify the strengths of previous research and explain how these studies have advanced knowledge. At the same time, it is important to compare different perspectives and identify areas where scholars agree or disagree, okay? Such critical engagement demonstrates analytical thinking rather than simple description, allowing readers to appreciate the scholarly conversation surrounding the research topic. Still in this, let's say, section, it is important for the candidates, okay, or researchers, all right, to try to synthesize, but also try to dissect, okay, the different, contributions, okay, brought by, every scholar, okay, and then try to identify the points on which they agree, but also the points on which they disagree, because in every research, people do not possibly agree with you on what you have discovered, okay? Some may think that maybe your discovery is not complete, okay? And if you had maybe added something, it would be better, right? So in every stage of research, there are still some failings. And if there are strengths and failings, so you as a candidate, through your readings, to identify the strengths of the contributions of authors, but also the failings, okay? Let's say in domains or in some parts of their contribution, there are some elements which, which lack, okay? And then if they were added, okay, or maybe if he had pursued his, researches, he could have covered all those, gaps. But your contribution, okay, is also important because you are contributing through your writing to show that if we had added this, it would be better. Equally important, the background must identify what remains unknown, okay? Every research proposal should demonstrate that despite existing knowledge, certain questions have not been adequately answered, or certain issues remain unresolved. So these gaps may result from methodological limitations, geographical restrictions, theoretical inconsistencies, changing social realities, or insufficient empirical evidence. In every research program, you may have, some let's say, limitations. What are the limits of these studies? Maybe the limits are traceable to methodological, let's say, approaches, okay, or geographical restrictions. Maybe you didn't have, or you won't have, or you don't have the means, okay, to access some areas which are, let's say, far remote areas, okay, maybe social conditions or physical conditions may refrain you from acceding, okay, or having access to those areas. This may be related to geographical, restrictions. You also have theoretical inconsistencies. While developing or while working on some domains, if you work on, let's say, contrastive analysis, so you have to go, to read, the contributions, okay, of, the pioneers of the domain. But you cannot limit yourself in maybe reading a few documents, okay, which cannot, explicitly help you better, write or better understand the domain in which you're writing. This is something very important. You also have the changing social realities. Sometimes conducting a research project or research program, okay, it's not easy. Related to when I talk about the fact that it's not easy, you have to take into account some social realities. Okay, sometimes people are, reluctant to speak. For example, when you're conducting a social linguistic interview, some people may be reluctant, okay, because they may think that you are here to, you are kind of spy, right? So it's up to you to convince them, to explain them, okay, what are the reasons for this research program? Why are you conducting this research project? Okay, so you should explain them clearly so that they will understand, okay, the outcomes of this research. But also for insufficient empirical evidence. In some areas of investigation, for example, you want to work on a very specific topic, a topic which is still underexplored. You may be in trouble to find empirical evidences. Sometimes it's not easy, but you have to be curious because you decided to bring your contribution, okay, in the domain. So you should be bring a very original topic. Though gathering, here, let's say, the proofs you need to conduct it properly, it's not easy at all. It's not so evident, but you have to make efforts for achieving your goal. Identifying these gaps provides, because when you notice that you have gone through many documentary or written books or documents, okay, dealing with the topic, right? So after having read many books or many authors, you realize that there is a gap in this domain. So the domain you want to investigate is underexplored, okay? As Maxwell notes, research should not simply repeat previous work, but should address answered questions, extend existing theories, or provide new evidence that contributes to academic knowledge and practical understanding. Justification and interest of the topic. After identifying the research gap, the introduction should explain, the importance of the topic by demonstrating the academic, social, educational, professional, cultural, or policy relevance of the proposed study. Today with your master dissertations writings, you are contributing, okay, in the academic social, education, casual, and policy relevance taken, okay, as a tool to help in thinking or making decisions in some domains. Work or who work on language policy, language planning, language policy. This may help the government make decisions, okay, on how to introduce, okay, some local languages at the primary school, for example. So this is very important. Then your contribution will be not considered as irrelevant. No, your contribution will be very relevant to decision-making programs. And this section answers the fundamental question: why is this research worth conducting? The researchers should explain how the findings may contribute to the theoretical development, improve professional practice, inform educational policies, support decision-making, address societal challenges, or expand existing knowledge in the discipline. Look at our colleagues from sociology, for example. If there are some problems, okay, for example, today in Senegal, we have noticed that the rate of women who are very often diverse, okay, so is elevated, okay, or important. So they ask sociologists to think of that. What is the main reason? Why are people still tending to types? Why? What are the motivations? What are the social facts which justify or can explain this? Okay, so all of these are important, and they need the contribution of sociologists, okay, through what? Through debates or conferences, or let's say contributions with master thesis writings or doctoral thesis writings. Okay, so all of these are very important because they serve as a guide for the government and the scientific world to understand what are the main factors, and mainly the social factors which motivate, okay, or which justify, the increased rate of diverse women, for example. So this is a topical issue, right? The significance of the study should be discussed from multiple perspectives, including potential benefits for scholars, practitioners, institutions, policymakers, and the broad community. So clearly articulating the importance of the topic helps convince supervisors and evaluation committees that the proposed research possesses genuine scholarly and practical value. The introduction should conclude by stating the purpose of the research, which clearly expresses the overall aim of the proposed study. The study statement summarizes what the researcher intends to investigate, the phenomenon under examination, and the expected contribution to the research. It should be concise, precise, and directly aligned with the research problem identified earlier in the introduction. Depending on the research design, the purpose may involve exploring, describing, explaining, comparing, evaluating, or understanding. Statement provides directions for the entire proposal because it guides the formulation of the research objectives, research questions, hypotheses, methodology, and data analysis procedures. So consequently, it serves as the central organizing principle of the entire research project, and ensures coherence among all subsequent sections of the program. Objectives of the study or of research objectives. Research objectives are clear, precise, and measurable. statements that define objectives of the study. You should not have, objectives which are not clear, not precise, or not measurable. Okay, objectives to allow you to conduct your research, but also allow, okay, the committee or the members of the jury or your supervisor to understand and know what your research project or every proposal, specific objectives. So all of these should be clear to allow readers, supervisors, and everyone who needs to know about your work to understand what you really have as an objective. Okay? And they translate the research problem into specific goals. Every of the research process, including the methodology, data collection, data analysis, and data interpretation or interpretation of findings. According to John Presswell and David Presswell, well-formulated research objectives provide direction and ensure that every component of the research remains aligned with the overall purpose of the study. Likewise, Uma Sekaran and Roger Bougie emphasize that research objectives serve as the operational framework of a study because they specify exactly what the researcher seeks to discover, explain, compare, or evaluate. Okay? They should be realistic, concise, and achievable within the available time and resources. While selecting a topic, do not select topic broad. If it is too broad, it requires too much time. And sometimes, so the allotted time is not so sufficient. And if you remain lagging behind, okay, people may, leave you astray. So what you should do is to think of a topic which is concise. First of all, to know what you need to discuss, we need to demonstrate. Because what we realize is that some people, they just select a topic, but they don't know exactly what they need to explain, what they need to demonstrate. So you should be precise, concise, and, propose something that is achievable. So this is very important. Objective, okay, also called general overall objective or main objective, expresses the principal aim of the research. It summarizes in one comprehensive statement what the research ultimately seeks to accomplish at the end of the research problem, and titled while remaining broad enough to encompass all aspects of the investigation. Example of to investigate, for example, the relationship between digital multilingual communication and language identity among university students, for example. So this objective indicates that the study saying how the use of multiple language structure, expression, and negotiation of students' linguistic identities. Specific objectives are detailed statements, tangible and measurable components. They describe the that will be investigated and provide a systematic plan for achieving the overall aim of the study. So each specific objective addresses one dimension of the research problem and often corresponds to a research question or hypothesis. Methodologists such as Louis Cohen, Lawrence Mannion, and Kate Morrison argue that specific objectives should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, whenever appropriate. Although not every objective explicitly includes all SMART elements, they should always be clear, focused, and empirically attainable, meaning achievable. Most research proposals contain 3 to 5 specific objectives, depending on the complexity and scope of the study. Together, these objectives ensure that the investigation proceeds logically and comprehensively. Example of specific objectives for a study entitled Digital Multilingual Communication and Language Identity among University Students. The specific objectives may include to identify the languages used by students in WhatsApp community. This objective employed by students in their identifying whether students use English, French, or local languages, or combinations of these languages in online conversations. Specific objective number 2, to examine the code switching and code mixing practices employed in digital communication. And in this specific objective, we try to investigate how students alternate between different languages within conversations, messages, or sentences, and analyzes the linguistic patterns that characterize multilingual online interactions. Objective number 3, specific objective number 3, to analyze students' attitudes toward multilingual digital communication. And in this specific objective number 3, explore learners' beliefs and preferences of platforms. It remains or as a resource for communication, identity, or negatively as a source for linguistic interference. Characteristics of good research objectives. Well-written research objectives possesses several important characteristics that enhance the quality and coherence of a research proposal. They should be directly linked to the research problem and title, clearly state what the researcher intends to accomplish, use precise and measurable action verbs, be realistic and achievable within the available resources, provide a logical sequence for data collection and analysis, serve as the basis for formulating research questions and hypotheses, contribute to the overall coherence and scientific rigor of the study. Research questions. Research questions are one of the most important components of a research proposal because they define precisely what the study seeks to answer. They translate the research problem into a set of clear, focused, and investigative questions that guide the entire research process. Every aspect of the research, from the selection of the research design on methodology to data collection, analysis, and interpretation, is influenced by the research questions. As John Presswell and David Presswell explained, research questions narrow the scope of an investigation by identifying the specific issues that require empirical examination. Rather than making assumptions, they encourage systematic inquiry based on evidence collected from participants or other reliable sources. Research questions should emerge naturally from the statement of the problem and correspond directly to the research objectives. In other words, every specific objective should have a matching research question. This alignment ensures consistency throughout the research proposal and enables the researcher to demonstrate how each objective will be achieved. According to Louis Cohen, Lawrence Mannion, and Kate Morrison, carefully formulated research questions improve the coherence and validity of a study because they establish a logical connection between the research problem, objectives, methodology, and findings. Without clear research questions, the investigation may lack focus and produce data that do not adequately address the central issue. Good research questions possess several important characteristics. They should be clear, concise, specific, and researchable. They should avoid ambiguity, leading assumptions, or questions that can be answered simply with yes or no. Instead, they should invite explanation, description, comparison, and analysis. In qualitative research, research questions often begin with expressions such as how, why, in what ways, or what are, encouraging an in-depth exploration of social phenomena. In quantitative studies, questions may focus on relationships, differences, or the effect of one variable on another. Mixed methods research frequently combines both qualitative and quantitative questions to provide a comprehensive understanding of the phenomenon under investigation. Research questions also serve as the roadmap for data collection. They help researchers determine the participants to involve, the instruments to use, and the types of data required. For example, a question beginning with what languages are used may require surveys or observations, whereas a question beginning with why do students prefer certain languages may be better addressed through interviews or focus group discussions. Consequently, well-designed research questions contribute significantly to the reliability, validity, and overall quality of the research. Relationship between objectives and research questions. One of the fundamental principles of research design is that research questions should correspond directly to the research objectives. The general objective defines of the study, while each specific objective is translated into a research question that seeks the information necessary to achieve that objective. And this correspondence ensures that every stage of the investigation remains coherent and focused. For example, here you have, a kind of table chart where you have specific objectives and corresponding research questions. The first specific objective, to identify the languages used in WhatsApp communication. And the corresponding research question is, which languages are most frequently used by university students in WhatsApp communication? Specific objective number 2, to examine code switching practices. And corresponding research question is, how do students alternate between languages during digital communication? Specific objective number 3, to analyze language attitudes. Corresponding research question is, what attitudes do students have towards multilingual digital communication? Number 4, to explore identity construction. And the corresponding research question is, how does digital multilingual communication influence students' language identity? Number 5, to investigate sociolinguistic motivation. And the corresponding research question is, why do students choose particular languages in digital interactions? The one-to-one correspondence ensures that each objective has a clear investigative focus and that the collected data will adequately answer the research problem. Example of research question. For a study entitled Digital Multilingual Communication and Language Identity Among University Students, the research questions may be formulated as follows. Main research question. How does digital multilingual communication influence identity amongst university students? So this overarching question reflects the general objective of the study and encapsulates the central issue that the research seeks to investigate. Specific questions. Which languages are most frequently used by university students in WhatsApp communication? So this question aims to identify the linguistic repertoire employed by students in their everyday online interaction. It also investigates the frequency with which English, French, or national languages or other languages are used across different digital contexts. Number two, how do students alternate between different languages during digital communication? So this question explores the phenomenon of code switching or code mixing. Okay, it seeks to understand the linguistic patterns students employ when moving from one language to another within conversations, messages, or online discussions. What attitudes do students have toward multilingual digital communication? This question examines students' perceptions, beliefs, and evaluations of multilingual language use in digital spaces. It investigates whether they view multilingual communication as a symbol of identity, social prestige, educational advantage, or communicative convenience. Number four, how does digital communication shape students' how online interactions influence the ways students perceive themselves and present themselves to others. Number five, why do students choose particular languages during online communication? This question too focuses on the sociolinguistic underlying language choice. It examines the influence of contextual factors such as audience, okay, friendship, networks, okay, educational background, cultural identity, social status, topic of discussion, communicative, efficiency, and linguistic competence on students' decisions to use particular languages. So, characteristics of good research questions. Effective research questions should possess the following characteristics. They are directly derived from the research they are precise and ambiguous. Research questions should not be ambiguous. They are focused, they encourage, they guide the selection of appropriate research methods and data collection instruments. They provide a framework for analyzing and interpreting the research findings. They ensure coherence between the introduction, methodology, results, and conclusions of the study. When thoughtfully formulated, research questions become the intellectual foundation of a research project. They keep investigation focused, facilitate the collection of relevant data, and ensure that the study generates meaningful answers to the problem under investigation. Research hypotheses. Research hypotheses are tentative statements that predict the expected relationships between variables based on existing theories, previous empirical findings, and the research objectives. They provide a clear direction for the investigation and serve as that can be tested using qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method research methods. A well-formulated hypothesis should be specific, logic, measurable, where appropriate, and directly aligned with the study's research questions and objectives. In qualitative research, hypotheses are often function as guiding assumptions rather than statistically testable predictions, while in quantitative studies, they are generally formulated to allow empirical verification and falsification. Central hypothesis. The central hypothesis is a principal assumption upon which the entire study is based. It expresses the researcher's overall expectation regarding the relationship between the independent and dependent variables and reflects the main objective of the research. The central hypothesis should synthesize the core problem of the study into a single coherent proposition that guides data collection, analysis, and interpretation. A strong central hypothesis is directly derived from the research problem, closely linked to the general objective, theoretically grounded, capable of empirical verification. Example one, with sociolinguistics and digital communication, are the multilingual language practices adopted by university students in digital communication significantly influence the construction and of their social and cultural identities. Example two, dealing with language policy, for example, the introduction of English language instruction at the elementary school level positively affects learners' English proficiency while simultaneously influencing the maintenance and use of indigenous languages. Example three, language and disability. As you may know, today the growth of digital communication, we have to take into account in our researches. This element which is fundamental, that is disability. Okay, language and disability, to take into account students, for example, with visual impairments or hearing impairments. Okay, so they have to be taken into account in the pedagogical dispositive for many reasons, because first of all, pedagogy should be inclusive, not exclusive, because if you are preparing a curriculum, okay, you have to take into account some aspects which are fundamental, and then the contribution of some students in the domain of language and disability would be helping decision makers to take into account what is called inclusive education. All right, so improved, for example, with example number three. So improved digital accessibility significantly enhances the academic participation and social inclusion of students with disabilities in higher education institutions. Okay, so if, for example, some students work on this, ranging from accessibility, visual accessibility, okay, there may be in decision making to help decision makers think of the policies they should adopt to make education inclusive, chiefly in higher education for everyone. Secondary hypotheses. The secondary hypotheses, also called specific or subsidiary hypotheses, are derived from the central hypothesis. They correspond directly to the specific objectives and research questions, breaking assumptions into smaller, testable propositions. Each secondary hypothesis investigates a particular dimension of the research problem and contributes to confirming or rejecting the central hypothesis. Effective secondary hypotheses should correspond to one specific objective, focus on a single relationship or phenomenon, remain precise and measurable, collectively support the central hypothesis. For example, here we have hypothesis, secondary hypothesis. Okay, the example is there. You have hypothesis 1. Students use multiple languages in digital communication according to the social context and communicative purpose. Okay, hypothesis number 2, code switching and translanguaging in online interactions strengthen students' expression of multilingual identities. Okay, hypothesis number 3, the choice of language in digital communication is influenced by audience, platform, characteristic, and social affiliation. Specific hypothesis number 4, digital communication encourages the emergence of innovative multilingual linguistic practices among university students. Here, for example, we have the domain of English language teaching. Okay, hypothesis, specific hypothesis 1, early exposure to English, it significantly improves learners' communicative competence. Number 2, teachers' instructional practices significantly influence learners' achievement in English. Number 3, the availability of teaching materials positively affects students' language acquisition. Number 4, positive learners' attitudes towards English contribute to higher academic performance. Now, in the domain of language policy, parents' attitudes significantly influence children's maintenance of their mother tongue. Okay. Number 2, school language policies affect the frequency of indigenous language use among pupils. Number 3, bilingual educational practices promote balanced multilingual competence. Number 4, community language attitudes shape learners' linguistic choices inside and outside school. So I'm going to talk about now the relationship between objectives, research questions, and hypotheses. A coherent research proposal establishes a logical progression from the research objectives to the research questions and finally to the hypotheses. The general objective gives rise to the central hypothesis, while each specific objective corresponds to one or more research questions and one secondary hypothesis. This alignment ensures methodological consistency and facilitates systematic tests.
I think Doctor has some connectivity issues. Dr. CISSOKO?
Identify the individual aspects to ask what the study seeks to predicts the overall relation. Secondary hypothesis predict specific objective. Research hypotheses constitute the foundation of a research proposal because translate theoretical expectations into proposition inquiry. The central hypothesis provides the overarching prediction of the study, whereas the secondary hypothesis operationalize this prediction into focused assumptions linked to the specific objectives. When clearly formulated and theoretically justified, hypotheses strengthen the coherence, scientific rigor, and methodological direction of the research, ultimately enabling the researcher to draw valid and reliable conclusions from the evidence collected. Research methodology in the field work. As you may know, in linguistics, okay, most researches are conducted in field work. Field work is research process in linguistics. Okay, so in linguistics and grammar. So when you are conducting a research proposal, you have to adopt what is called a field work. And field work requires some stages, different stages. So we're going to talk about research methodology. With the research methodology, which describes the systematic procedures that will be employed to collect analyze, and interpret data in order to answer the questions and test the research hypotheses. So it provides a clear framework that ensures the study is conducted in a scientific, ethical, reliable, and valid manner. So this section explains how the fieldwork will be organized, who will participate in the study, the instruments, meaning the tools you'll be using, okay, that will be used to gather data, the analytical techniques that will transform raw information into meaningful findings. A well-designed methodology enhances the credibility, transparency, and replicability of the research while ensuring that the conclusions drawn are firmly grounded in empirical evidence. Collection, with the data collection to the collection of data. And data collection constitutes the empirical foundation of the research because it provides the evidence required to address the research problem. During the fieldwork, the researcher will collect both primary and, where necessary, secondary data using carefully selected research instruments that correspond to the objectives of the study. The choice of data collection methods will depend on the nature of the research design, whether qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods. So the study participants will be selected through an appropriate sampling strategy to ensure that they possess the knowledge, experiences, or characteristics relevant to the investigation. Depending on the research context, participants may include teachers, lecturers, school administrators, parents, policymakers, community members, or other stakeholders directly connected to the phenomenon under investigation. Sampling techniques such as purposive sampling, stratified sampling, random sampling, convenience sampling, or snowball sampling may be employed according to the objectives and scope of the research. So the choice of the sampling techniques depends, okay, it depends on, let's say, on the strategy which is adopted by the researcher himself or herself, okay? So according to the type of study you are, dealing with, you can try to choose the most appropriate one according to the field or the study in which you are investigating. So before participation, all respondents will be fully informed about purpose of the study, the voluntary nature of their involvement, or their right to withdraw at any stage without any negative consequences. Selecting, this is the most complex stage, okay, the selection of participants, okay, because as I said ago, sometimes you may be faced with such situations. You may just come to interview somebody, okay, and one of his brothers or sisters, okay, just comes out of the room and say, okay, what is this man doing here? So you say, okay, he just asking questions. For example, the family member may say, okay, he just investigating on, our community, for example, and they may say, okay, so this is not sure, you have to pay attention because they may be sent by the government to spy. So I experienced it. I experienced it in my own, let's say, community when I was preparing my doctoral thesis.
Dr. CISSOKO, please. Okay, Doctor, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Would you mind speeding up a little bit? Maybe 10 minutes. You're gonna finish.
Okay, when I was interviewing, they like, yeah.
Okay. Would you mind speeding up so that we could?
I was too long.
10 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Just 10 minutes to summarize. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I can hear you. Don't worry. Okay. Thank you. So these ethical things are things which are important. So you need to draw their attention before they engage in, the interview. So we have different, sampling techniques, methods. Okay, sampling is the process of selecting units from a larger population. Okay, so the choice of a sampling technique depends on the research objectives, design, population characteristics, available resources, and the level of generalization expected from the findings. Okay, so you have purposive sampling, judgmental sampling. This is also called judgmental sampling. A purpose is a non-probability sampling techniques in which the researcher deliberately selects participants because they possess specific characteristics, experiences, knowledge, or expertise relevant to the research topic. Okay, I have to move. Yeah, the stratified sampling is also another technique, which is a probability sampling technique, which the population is first divided into distinct homogeneous groups called strata based on shared characteristics such as gender, age, educational level, department, language, geographical location. Okay, so we also have random sampling, which is also called a simple random sampling. Okay, random sampling is the most fundamental probability sampling technique in which every member of the target population has an equal and independent chance of being selected. Okay, so the selection is conducted purely by chance using random number generators, lottery methods, or computer software. We also have systematic sampling. Systematic sampling involves selecting participants at regular intervals from an ordered place. The researcher determines a sampling interval and selects every after establishing a suitable starting point. Cluster sampling involves dividing the population into naturally occurring villages, departments, or community sampling. Not every member of the population has a known or equal chance of being selected. So the selection is, based according to specific criteria: accessibility, researcher judgment, or their ability to provide relevant information. You're not going to choose. Opinion sampling involves selecting participants who are readily available and willing to participate in the study. This is very important. Okay, this is the convenience sampling. Snowball sampling is used when participants are difficult to identify or access. So the researcher begins with a smaller number of participants who meet the research criteria, and these participants then recommend or introduce other potential participants who may in turn identify additional participants. So this is called snowball sampling. Sampling involves establishing specific categories or quotas and then selecting participants until the required number in each category has been reached. For example, a researcher may decide to study 100 university students with quotas of 50 male and 50 female students, or 31st year, okay, and 32nd year, on the 43rd year students, okay. Choosing an appropriate sampling techniques. So the choice of sampling technique should be determined by the research questions, research design, population objectives, and available resources. There is no single sampling technique that is appropriate for every study. Okay, so depending on the type of study you are indulged in, so you may use, for example, quantitative research, qualitative research, okay, or mixed method research, right? Meaning you can use both. Okay. Yes. Now coming to the review of the related literature. Review of the related literature, also called state of art, is a critical examination of the existing scholarly knowledge related to a research topic. For example, the domain in which you want to write you need to, go through many contributors. Okay, you need to read, many books or articles dealing with the same topic, who contributed in this domain. Okay, what is the degree of their contribution? Okay, what, according to you, what is not mentioned, what remain underexplored in their contribution, and this will be the gap you will identify and then bring a contribution. The theoretical framework constitutes an essential component of the research study because it provides the theoretical lens through which the research problem is examined and interpreted. In linguistics and grammar, a theoretical framework draws on established theories of language structure, language use, meaning, acquisition, variation, or change, depending on the focus of the study. It enables the researcher to move beyond a simple description of linguistic phenomena by explaining why and how particular linguistic patterns occur. So briefly, I just check the upper reference style because I was avoiding to have a too long text. Reason why I just took that as an example. So you have in academic research references, there are some criteria to be followed. Okay, and the most common styles in linguistics, English studies, and grammar are APA, okay, MLA, Chicago, Harvard. However, they differ in how they present authors, dates, titles, publishers, journal articles, and websites. So if you take the APA style, the 7th edition, so which is the currently the most widely used version. Okay, APA is common in linguistics, education, applied linguistics, and social sciences. For example, here you have the APA style. You first of all have the family name of the author, name, year of publication, title. Okay, you have the place, okay, of publication, all right? And then here too, in the second, you have the journal, okay, Labor, William Labor, year of publication, social stratification of English in New York City, Washington, D.C., okay, Center for Applied Linguistics, all right? So chapter in an edited book, you have Holiday, MAK, okay, the year of publication, all right? So still talking about the upper style with in-text quotations. In upper style, okay, in-text quotation are used when a researcher reproduces the exact words of another author. So upper requires, okay, the inclusion of the author's name, year of publication, and page number for a direct. Okay, the page number is introduced with P for a single and PP for multiple page. Direct quotation should be used selectively when the original wording is especially precise, influential, or difficult to paraphrase accurately. Short quotations. A quotation of fewer than 40 words should be incorporated into the paragraph and enclosed in double quotation marks. For example, language is central to human interaction because it allows people to express, I quote, ideas, emotions, intentions, and social relations. Then you put the name of the authors, year of publication, page number. Okay. So I think, Mr. Keta, I think now I can give you back the floor. So here you have the list of references, okay, I used for preparing this presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. CISSOKO, I owe you, and we owe you a big thank you for this tremendous job. You have gone through the details from cover to cover to give a wide range of input regarding the methodology of writing a master's thesis. So briefly, I'm gonna come back to the main point. First of all, you have talked about, you have to make a kind of introduction to define what is a master's thesis. Okay, then you move to the problem statement. Okay, and then you talk about the justification, because when you talk about something, you have to justify why have we chosen such a topic, what would we like to reveal. So you talked about the objectives, and you have to talk about the general objective and specific objective. After that, you tackled what's called a research question and the research hypothesis. Okay, and then you talked about the research methodology before dealing with the review of literature and ending with the theoretical framework and the references. So maybe we are running out of time. That's why I haven't gone deep down. So that being said, I think students have jotted down notes, colleagues also for the next contributions and questions. So now, in order,
I think at the end, I can even share, if possible, I can share the document with them, inshallah.
The presentation, okay, right, yeah, with pleasure. So now, dear colleagues, I think just to precise something important, today we have two lecturers. Dr. CISSOKO is specialized in grammar and linguistics, because some students are writing on that perspective, linguistics and grammar, and Dr. CISSOKO has gone through this specialization. In a while, we're going to give the floor to Dr. Dia, who is specialized in literature and civilization. But I think there is a common core, what is called tronc commun, depending on the specializer. So that being said, let me just say a few words on the presenter, Dr. Dia. And what about Dr. Dia? As you know, he is an assistant professor of English at the University Numerique Cheikh Anta Diop, Cheikh Hamidou Kane in Senegal, with specialty in American studies and comparative literature. Yeah, he also serves as chair of the Department of English and Bachelor Program Manager. He is the head of African chapter of the International American Studies Association, IASA, and director of the Senegal chapter of the World Association of Authors and Researchers, WAAR. He is also a member of the International Leadership Association, ILA, based in the US. He received training in public management from Howard University, USA in 2014 through the Mandela Washington Fellowship of the US State Department program initiated by President Obama. Another achievement which Dr. Dia has gained is he received training with a certificate of Principles of English Academic Writing from University of California, Berkeley, USA in 2013. Another thing that weighed a lot on the balance is in 2016, he was American English program e-teachers fellow of the U.S. Department of State with certificate in teaching, reading, and academic writing from Northern Arizona University, USA in 20. Yeah. Another thing is in 2017 he was Salber's Global Seminar Fellow in American Studies in Austria. In 2020, he received further training on online service with the USA Department of State and became a committee lead. In the fall 2022, he was visiting professor at the University of Salzburg, Austria. Then in the fall 2023, he was visiting professor at Western Washington University, USA, where he taught writing about literature and African American literature. His teaching and research interests include American studies, comparative literature, African literature, folklore, and literature theories. And, you know, after that big chunk, last but not least, Dr. Alassane Abdoulaye DIA, you know, is a prolific writer. He has authored 3 books, I'm telling you, and several, you know, scholarly articles published in international journals, and has actively participated in numerous international conferences and academic programs. Really, he is, you know, a great, lecturer whom everybody is proud of. So, Dr. DIA, I'm gonna, you know, hand you over the floor for your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Keita. Thank you. Dear colleagues, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I think they can, yeah.
Can they see my screen?
Yeah, of course.
Can you confirm me, because I want to start. Can you all see my screen, right? Because I'm using slides. I want to be sure that you see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
You can see it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keita. So I'm going to be very practical and to use practical things in order to save time. And this is for the literature and civilization option. How to write a successful proposal for a master's thesis. I start with anecdotes. Sometimes we know that approach matters in everything. Approach is a big issue. And if we don't pay attention with the approach we use, sometimes it may impact positively or negatively on what we expect from our students. They are confused. And when I talk about approach, sometimes people talk about product approach or process approach. And we know that when we come to theories, it's always complicated. It's always difficult. So approach matters. And how can practices affect results? So in terms of approach, most of the time what we do is we use a product approach, which I do not appreciate more. Even if when I was a student, I went through the product approach and I invite colleagues to use more practical things. For example, the product approach focuses on the final result. I give you one practical case. I tell my students write an MA proposal. And they tell me, sir, I don't know how to write an MA proposal. And I go to my office or I check my documents and then I pick one good proposal from one of my best students and I tell them, go and read this. So look at this, what they have done. So you just see a product, but you don't know about the steps, the different steps, the different stages used to come up with the product. If you just go to the market or you want to buy some fruit, you take a fruit, you take a mango, you eat, or you take anything, you eat, it's good. So if you see the product, the producer, you may be interested to know how he did. It's not going to be fixed the same day. He will probably tell you, you need to come to my farm. I need to show you this and to show this. You need to buy this. This is a process. So let us show our students the process. That is very much important. So that's a practice that helps a lot. That's the product approach. So if I take a dissertation, the best dissertation, I tell my students, go and read this. he cannot do the same way this student has done because the context is not the same. What people need is to know the process. So when it comes now to the process approach, that's how you see here, the picture is different. They go step by step. So the process approach focuses on the steps taken to reach the result. It is a step-by-step approach, or it is called the ladder method. You go step by step. First step, let us go. It's just like you are doing sports. The first day, you cannot solve everything. You cannot come the first day be as physical as Usain Bolt. You cannot come the first day try to run as quickly or as fast as Usain Bolt. You're going to fail. It's impossible. You need to go through the process. So the process tells us what to do, how to do until you reach the product you saw one day with somebody. So this means that I'm going to use the process approach, but not the product approach. All right, product approach versus process approach. While product approach view measures success by finished items or score, the process approach view values, the journey, learning skills gained along the way. So I show you step by step what you have to do is expected from you. And let us put aside the product approach. So let us break with this tradition and use the process approach with our students if you want to build them, if you want to show them. All right, so here we go. As I told you, I'm going to start first with the different phases of the process. In the process, there are things, pre-writing, during writing, and post-writing. I can reformulate it and call it before writing, during writing, and after writing. It means before writing your thesis. That's the first step. Before writing your proposal. Who are you? What do you need? And the second, it means at the time you are writing what you have to do. And the third phase is after you finish what you have to do. All right, I start with phase one. And I told you, I'm interested in the process approach. All right, pre-writing. Mr. Keita, can you confirm me that everyone can see my screen? They see the slides?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I can, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so phase one, pre-writing. Pre-writing, number one, start with conceptualization of the topic. Conceptualization of the topic is very important. Look, a student knocks at my door and say, Dr. Ja, I want to work on something. I say, do you have a topic? No, I don't have any topic. Have you read something? I think I want to start. So understand that this student needs orientation. This student cannot go tomorrow and write a proposal. That's what I say. I avoid the product approach. Taking a dissertation and tell, go and do like this. He cannot do that. He is at the step of the conceptualization of the topic. You should conceptualize it. What do you want to work on? Find a theme. Usually we say find a theme. You cannot find a clear topic. No. Your broad topic, a broad theme. Conceptualize what you want to work. Imagine, think of that, and identify your audience. What audience do you want to interact with? So here you anticipate, say, after I take this topic, who is going to be interested in my topic? Who should I work with? Who should I interact with? Who should I communicate with? If you finish that question, move to the other question. Exploration of literature systematically. So you explore literature. You cannot stand that day and propose a topic. It's impossible. It is impossible. That's why my student may say it's too long or it takes time to work with Dr. Ja. Some of them are here. They have been working over 3 months now or 6 months. They will confirm some of them are here. They have already started. They say, even if you start, you will go back. Better go through the process approach. That's what I use. Conceptualization of the topic, Think of a topic, what it could be, how great it could be, identify an audience and do that. And in the conceptualization of the topic, there is one reality. Research topic emerge from scholarly curiosity and personal reading experience. It comes from your scholarly curiosity, what you have read. I have read this book, I have read this critical work, I have read that. Yes, and your personal reading experience. You cannot write from my own experience, it's impossible. Dr. Dia is not Mr. Keita, he is not Dr. CISSOKO. All of us have their own interest in something. So to be short, it comes from your scholarly curiosity and personal reading. Pick it from the box, what you have read. But reality shows that at this stage, no ground is obvious and many choices are likely to change. Yes, are likely to change drastically. Many of you here, they tell me the topic they had at the beginning is not the same label until the end of the dissertation. From time to time, you change. You add something, you move, but you have the broad topic, you have the theme. That's why we say choose a theme. In French, choisissez un thème. In a doctoral thesis, maybe it's a broader context. That's always the same. So here, what is important is clarity matters. And clear direction improves feasibility. If you have a clear direction where you're going, why we talk about feasibility of the work, because you need to prove that the work is possible. So this saves you from taking too much time over 2 years or 6 months, 7 months, working on something and say, finally, I cannot do that. So when you talk about academic audience, I told you about the audience. So far, class, you have not started. It is a pre-writing. It's the conceptualization. I'm still sitting down and talking of perspective, what I should do. Think of supervisors in terms of audience. Who can supervise you? Who is interested in what you're doing? Think of committees. In case it is validated, I may be summoned to come in front of a jury to defend it. Not yet a thesis, but a proposal. Scholars, which scholars are engaged in what I'm interested in? So understand that some proposals are validated through defense in front of a jury, usually doctoral thesis. Those who evolve in the American system, they have a coursework for the PhD, for example. After you finish your coursework, you write a dissertation, you come in front of a jury and you defend. So in such case, mind the quality of your work and expectations, and specialists who first evaluate your work and validate it or reject it. So that is very important to understand. So here you see the stake of the project you have engaged in. So you take it seriously. That's why I say never rush. Take time to read. As I told you, it comes from your own scientific curiosity, your scholarly curiosity. So write clearly for non-specialists too. There are some people who are not specialists. Think of the audience. So always don't use a very complicated language. It's not necessarily what you need. So exploration of preliminary, I say preliminary. Before a competition starts, there are preliminaries. Yes. Exploration of preliminary literature. Review sources broadly. Identify debates and frameworks. Debates. You are interested in a topic, see what are the debates. So why you are interested in this? Because you need to see what is the orientation of the debate. If you find a debate like this, you don't just come and jump in. You try to follow the flow of ideas. Who has said this? If you want to add this, or you want to contradict, or you want to align with, and the frameworks, so that you see the debate you engage in, what is going to be your contribution. If you don't do that, it's going to be a repetition. Select relevant studies and approaches, if any. This is not technically the review of literature, class. This is not technically the review of literature. Review of literature, a broad review of literature can come after. What I'm basically interested in is that students should systematically review relevant literature. identify key debates, and select credible sources to position their research within existing scholarship. What is the purpose of this? They look for a strong thesis statement. So it's still in the conceptualization. Before I work, what should I be interested in? What should I demonstrate? Your demonstration is based on the thesis statement. If you don't have a thesis statement, the proposal should go with a thesis statement. Your position, your argument. If I simplify thesis statement, it is your position, your argument. What do you want to define? That's why I say exploration of preliminary literature. My students can confirm me I'm so demanding, but not that. I just ask them to do what they have to do, to go through where they should go through. You see now, if you take into consideration and seriously that step, you come back with me, I say you have changed. Are you the same person the same day you came to my office? You would confirm me, no. Now I have some curiosity about all you told me. And then I say, now sit down. You can go to the second phase, which is the writing, during writing. Now you can sit down because I know you got some material. And I tell you, candidate, key elements to cover and demonstrate with your topic. If you want to convince me, this is a project. A project can succeed, it can fail. This is what you should show me. Show to the ground. Show me the problem of your topic. Review of literature, research questions, objective, methodology, and a bibliography. Step by step, I verify if you got some potential to do that. If your project has this, it's okay. Number one thing is to understand the do's and the do-nots, what you have to do and what you don't have to do. Number one thing is they should be organized in paragraphs. This is academic writing. Stop writing it in bullet points. In academic writing, everything is compact in a paragraph. It is analytical. Avoid being too much descriptive. Be analytical. Avoid a descriptive style. Why I say it, you are in the domain of literature. Some of you just use bullet points. I don't want to see a bullet point in a proposal. It is academic. You argue. Please argue and use this structure chronologically. Is it okay, Mr. Keita? My slides still show up, right?
Yeah. Very relevant. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So please take this structure. You will see that I have the same thing like Dr. CISSOKO. And now when we start with the number one thing, in background, what do I want to see in background? In background means contextualization. It's different from what I said previously, conceptualization. You have conceptualized, now you contextualize. Your research background should be contextualized. How? You ask me the question. I say, background is here. Introduce the topic. Introduce the topic, define it. Lead to the problem, because the next step is a problem. Explain its significance while building a rationale based on literature. I told you, preliminary literature. I don't ask you at this step to go and read everything. No. If you read everything, you come back, I say, it's not relevant, change. You will tell me this professor is not serious. So explain the significance. Explain what is wrong in the background, missing, unknown, unresolved, within the situation that your study will investigate. Here, you are moving, you are taking a transition. Go into the problem now, define your problem. So to simplify things, research background means context general, general interest. So they understand that I'm going to build a room, I'm going to build this. On the basis of that, on the basis of a foundation I had in my house, so this is going to be an extension. So you connect it there. So when you do the background, so you move directly to the problem. And a problem is important in a research paper class. A problem, what you do, number thing is you define it. You identify a problem in the topic. When you identify a problem, how you do that? You identify a gap. A gap means there is something that has not been exploited. and you find your niche, a niche. You take that niche, you take it, you see, this is a gap. Nobody has talked about it, and you establish a territory. These are technical words used. Why we say that? Because, you know, research is navigation. You are a navigator, an explorer. You are navigating and you are exploring. You see some land that is not occupied. This is a gap. I take that land. I establish there a territory. Those who are in American civilization, I told you how America was occupied by the British, by the French, and by the Spanish. It's because they found there some land that they suppose nobody used. So that was the gap of the world. That was the new world. It was a gap, and the gap was occupied. So that's why it became a discovery. So research is about discovery. Understand one thing, in real life, if you have a problem, that is a problem. That is a serious problem. But the biggest problem in research is many research papers do not have a problem. Understand the paradox. In real life, I say in real life, if you have a problem, that is a serious problem. But in research, if you don't have a problem, it is a serious problem. So research, we need a problem. We don't avoid problems. A paper that does not have a problem is not a paper. So it has no resolution to bring. If I come back on that, I say identify a problem, identify a gap. The gap is how you, where you find something that is not said. Many students say, how can I say some originality? That's why I say build originality. It's where you pretend to bring a contribution. No topic has been developed so positively and so completely. There is still something, a grain, an ingredient you can bring. That's why I say identify the problem. Many research papers have problems because they don't have a problem. In research, if you don't have a problem, you have a serious problem. But in real life, we avoid problems. If you have a problem, you are in a situation. But in research, if you don't have a problem, this is a serious problem. I understand you, you get me. So establish a territory, how? Showing the general research area is important and introducing a reviewing items of previous search in the area. That's what you do. Identify and establish a gap, indicating a gap in the previous research or by extending previous knowledge in some way. So what previous literature said, what is said and what is not said. So you try to go there and you say, this is my territory. The debate is stopped here. Nobody among the debaters or the scholars developed this. That's what I'm interested in. And you talk to your professor, say, okay, original, I like your point. It's original. Go there. Take a challenge and feed people. This is food. Scholarship is food. It's just like in a restaurant. Those who cook best are the most appreciated. So occupy the niche and don't hesitate. And state your contribution. Say, this is where I'm going to bring my contribution. Maybe the master thesis is not very demanding, but the PhD, they say thesis. If Pythagoras or Thales are cited so much in mathematics, it's because they brought a solution. They say, according to them, it's because they brought a contribution. So research is contribution. And the contribution comes from the problem. Problem solving. So outlining purposes and stating the nature of the present research. That's what you need. So now preliminary literature review. I say preliminary. Here at this stage, I don't expect you to write a full review of literature. You will write a book. No, I don't expect that. Give me just an impression that you understand where you're going. A survey of literature. Everything on and about the primary sources. In literature, you work on primary sources. Bibliography, references is summarized in two prepositions, on and about. You have also by. If I say by, on, and about, understand that sources are summarized in three prepositions. By, it means works by the same author. For example, you're working on Frederick Douglass, or you're working on Herman Melville, take works by Herman Melville and read them to have more extension. And then move to on, take works on Herman Melville, all the primary sources. This is the on. And take now, be interested in the preposition about. Read about the topic. That's the secondary sources. The by and the on. The by is primary sources. The on is direct secondary sources. It's about the book. It's about the topic. And the about is general. That's why you say in bibliography, source primaire, source secondaire, ouvrage généraux. Yes. So read all the surrounding studies and select, choose only the most relevant one. Review and make a critical synthesis. Organize your sources thematically. If you start that, you will build confidence and you know that, okay, I'm getting some information now. I was stressed, so everything comes from reading. So you read. Now you see the during writing. That's why I expect you from preliminary literature review. I don't expect you to go and write a full literature review. I will ask that later. Otherwise, the proposal will be very long. So at this stage, provide a preliminary review rather than a final overview of findings or conclusions. That will come later. The review should be selective, focusing only on information that is directly relevant to the thesis. It must contain or lead to clear statement of the research. Yes, you link it to there. It must be oriented to your research questions or hypotheses in literature. So a more comprehensive review will appear later in the thesis. So I cannot come at the first time and impose you to read the whole world. You will run away. So provide a critical synthesis of existing studies, identify gaps, and establish a framework. Organize your sources thematically and evaluate them critically. Yes, I told you a review of literature should be critical, analytical, but not descriptive, exposing. No, do not expose. It should be very rigorous. Now, research questions. Be clear and focused, clearly defined, focused, and measurable questions. The questions should be measurable because they are based on your thesis statement. Though it should not be too vague questions. Sometimes problems happen with research questions. And avoid confusions between research question and hypothesis. Yes, many papers have this problem. And sometimes even you hear people confusing, hesitating if a research question is a hypothesis. I would say no. To make things clear for you, I say research question is an interrogation on what you want to know. That's an investigation question. A hypothesis is a statement. It is affirmative. It is a prediction that you want to test. It is a prediction you want to test. And it is still different from thesis statement. The thesis statement is your general position, your argument. Argument, yes, thesis statement, position. Research question is always interrogative. Hypothesis is affirmative. It is a prediction that you want to test. For example, if I talk about a topic like students' performance in AI age, all right? So what is important is, in the research question, I can say, how can AI affect seriously students' potential development? And I go with a hypothesis. So my hypothesis is that AI undermines students' performance credibility. My problem is students' performance credibility. If the student comes with a high score, I'm not sure that that is an affirmation, but I have to test it. I have to test if this hypothesis is correct or no. It is a prediction. So during my research questions, I should have questions combined to that will help me in my argument come up with a clear. That's why at the end people ask you, have you verified your hypothesis? Yes. In my arguments, I came to understand that AI undermines students' performance credibility. How? Because in this research question, I verified it. Yes. All right, the methodology. I'm going to be very quick. I'm almost done, class. I told you. I'm going to be very practical, and then the debate is more important. You ask me questions. In methodology, Research questions. So when you finish your research questions, you tackle theoretical contribution. In the theoretical contribution are practical implications or expected outcomes. So you start now moving to your objectives. So these investigation questions should have some theoretical contribution. How they contribute theoretically. Practical implication, it depends on the kind of research and expected outcomes. Explain theoretical and practical contributions and highlight the importance of the study. Yes, you tell about the relevance, the significance, how they connect. And then when that is done, you go to, I still come back here, the relevance. When you talk about theoretical and contributions, it means you are in your objectives, yes. The objective that's there. When you deal with your objective, it's okay. And then you move to the methodology. Yes, in methodology, I don't expect you to write 2 pages. It's impossible. Most of the time, people think methodology is a part. No, it's just 1 paragraph. And sometimes you don't need to go and structure it point by point. No, I want it to be an argumentative paper. To me, I don't need when you come and say subsection methodology. In 1 paragraph, when I read, I know this is about methodology, this is about objective, this is about research questions. You don't need to say research questions and you just put 3 bullet points. That's what I don't want to see. It should be a compact paper. So define the approach to be used and the theories that back up the study. It could be comparative, it could be contrastive, it could be stylistic, it could be a close reading, etc. So be very clear which one you're going to use. And what are the theories that are going to inform your text or your study? Post-colonial, colonial, or deconstruction, or whatever. Stylistic, all this kind. You are in the domain of literature. You're using social critical. So you will be interested in social critique. Or you're using stylistic. You will be interested in narratology, comparative. So maybe you compare a lot of things. You will talk about a lot of theories. Close reading. It's important. And understand that the text, your primary sources, do not isolate them. They should be very present. So everything you see should be demonstrated how it applies. You see, I'm almost done. I told you, I promise you I'm going to be very practical. In terms of references and bibliography, so far, I don't ask you a very long bibliography. No, a selective bibliography. Be sure your sources are relevant to the study, the sources you present to me. If you want to tell me about African-American literature or some canonical African-American literature writers, if you give me the writer or the work you want to develop, I go to the sources and check if your sources are relevant. So there are some critics that I expect to see in that. There are some theories that I expect to see in that. Yes. So my students who work with me, I told you, those who are working on racial history or slavery, I said, go and read racial theories and racial studies. You will engage with a lot of things. So cite properly. You can use the APA. It depends. Most of the time, my colleague, Dr. CISSOKO, I congratulate him on the excellent job he did, talked about the APA. You can use the APA, it depends, or the MLA. I'm not going to be very strict. I said it one day in a session, it depends. It is the matter of his school. Most of the time in social sciences, they use the APA style or the MLA style now with literature. Or others can use a Chicago manual style. I personally use a Chicago manual of style. It depends. Maybe with colleagues, we can decide what to do. But I don't want we impose students systematically. So this is very smooth. Yeah, we should find a way. But in any case, be consistent. Do not make a confusion of APA, MLA, and Chicago manual of style or the Vancouver style. No. Ensure credibility. Credibility, be sure that all your sources are credible. So avoid plagiarism. You know, I'm not going to stay long with plagiarism. There are a lot of forms of plagiarism. Many students plagiarize. They plagiarize. No, it's not cut and paste. There is what we call mosaic plagiarism. In mosaic plagiarism is, instead of copying textually, you pick here, you pick there, and you pick there. Usually when I check plagiarism, I got a software. I go through and I check it. So be very careful. And the other thing is maybe AI. Credibility matters. Do not use AI. Use your potential to develop. All right? So, and then when you finish that, you go to post-writing. It is after the writing. Should you finish just and send me an email with a very sloppy work, with a lot of, faulty issues and everything? No. Take time to proofread as much as possible. Improve clarity. Ensure coherence. Refine the text and give it an academic tone. You are in the academia. So write a fully well appreciated academic text. I told you, mind your audience, mind those who read you. So take it seriously. Revise the document for clarity, coherence, and academic style. Ensure logical flow and eliminate ambiguity. Avoid equivocal terms. In academic writing, every word you use, be sure that this is the right one. Avoid people telling you, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean in academic writing? This is written. It's not an oral expose where people argue with you. You write it and it is finished. There will be many contradictions after you. It's because people will say your orientation is not clear. So it's good to take time to work on your style. So key consideration, the scope of work is very important. And the ethics, you are in academic writing. Ethics matter. Structure and flow. Define your timeline. So timeline means what action to take progressively during the writing process. So the scope, it means to ensure the topic is manageable within a master's time frame. Manageable, why? Because there are some people who take topics, they are not manageable. So that's what causes them to come one day and change. It's not good. That's why I say conceptualization at the beginning is important. Feasibility. Take measurable things. I remember one day a student told me that they want to work on the Army intelligence system. I said, yes, it's interesting, but the danger is, how are you going to get the data? You need the Army. It's very secret. The Army intelligence system, how can you work on that? I say it is original, it is innovative, but very challenging and likely not to happen. It's been now 10 years now. It's more than 10 years. It's 15 years now. And the student came up and said, sir, doctor, I think you are right. When I go to the Army service, they are very relaxed. I say, even if the general decides he is your father or your boss, they will never give you the information you need. So it means the topic was not manageable. It was not feasible. It was not manageable. Ethics. Include ethical considerations when working with human participants or sensitive data. I talked about sensitive data. Yes, sensitive data. It depends. Maybe in literature, but even in literature, you can have said sensitive data. It depends on what we wanna work. For example, go and take maybe the queer literature, those dealing with same sex or something like that. It depends on how we work. And human participants. Acknowledge those who have contributed to your work. It's very dangerous, very frustrating to be working on an academic work and finally ignore everybody who contributed. There is nothing more frustrating than this. So structure, maintain a clear and logical structure throughout the proposal. The structure matters, and if you wanna go back to the structure, it's important. Just go back to this slide. As I told you, yes, I say, how should I put the structure? Take the structure and verify. You can screenshot. All right, so it's important. When you got this, I think it's okay. And then, let me come back. I move to the timeline. One should present a schedule indicating when each phase of the project will be completed. Yes. For example, in an empirical study, it may specify target dates for finishing the full literature review. Yes. I take time to do this. I take time to do the full literature review now. I take time now to analyze and everything. I take time to write the full paper. The specific stages included should be determined in consultation with your academic advisor. Sometimes with your academic advisor, they ask you to, how can I say, to find a timeline to tell them how quick you go so that they follow you. The follow-up is very important. Establishing this timetable is important as it helps maintain focus on meeting required deadlines. These are my references. Thank you very much. I think I kept my promise. I told you I won't be long. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you once again, Dr. Ja, and really, we appreciate a lot, and I do get that all. I mean, the audience is really in line with me. So maybe just to give a gentle reminder, you dealt with a contrastive method. I mean, you deal with productive approach versus process approach, and here you start with a kind of anecdotes. Okay, I really appreciate it because it is some pedagogic tips that can draw the audience attention. And what happened is the productive approach focuses on the final products, whereas the process approach is the kind of that unveils the different steps you have gone through. So overall, you lay the emphasis. You advise students to use the second one, meaning the process approach, because there it can help them try to identify the preliminaries. I mean, the pre-writing process, the during writing, and the post-writing. So I think you come back to for example, the methodology you talked about, and here what is important is just the wording, how to write successfully, okay, a master's thesis. And the verb successfully is pregnant with meaning. It rings a bell. So for that, I think students have been given all the necessary elements they can go through in order to write successfully a good master's thesis. From the the background, the definition, the problem statement, after contextualization, the literary review, the research question, objectives, methodology, bibliography. I think overall, Dr. Ja and has just make a kind of follow up, okay, after Dr. CISSOKO presentation. So now I think we come at the end of the presentations. So now, what we're gonna the next step will be, we're gonna open the debate, and it is something very important. Okay, and here we will need questions, contributions, both from tutors, from teachers, and from students. I think maybe we're gonna open a list. Maybe take some first students as interveners, and you can intervene both on two presentations. I think it is the best way, Doctor. What do you think? We're gonna maybe open a list first, try to choose some interveners, and then give you back the floor for answers. And if time allows, we're gonna open a second list. Okay? If you side with me, we can start.
Yes, that works. Yes.
Okay.
Students, feel free
What
to ask questions. It's time now for you, as I told you. Share your concerns. It's time for you now. We're here for you. Feel free to expose any concern you have about it. Thank you.
Okay. Now the floor is yours, dear participants. Raise your hand, or Maybe at the beginning, you're going to need some students, maybe some interveners, 5 or 6.
Yes, colleagues also, if they want to add something. Yes, Dr. Mahib is here. The master program manager. Colleagues, feel free if you want to bring contributions at any time.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Alassane. Thank you, CISSOKO. Thank you, the team. First, I want to thank the whole team for the good initiative which bring a new voice to the department. Everything has been said, and I repeat it, everything has been said. I just wanted to emphasize on some of them. Just the first one is how to handle tenses in a text, how to handle tenses in the text. Usually, it is the present simple. Everybody knows this. But if you report, I'm talking to students, if you report past events in your text, you use the simple past. It is very elementary. If you express results, facts that have really happened, use the present perfect. What else? How to handle preposition is very important. Now I'm talking about what is needed in a well-written text. Okay, how to handle so far, how to handle yet, and how to handle since, and how to handle still. Another point, which seems to me very important, is what is banned, interdit, what is banned in the conclusion. Never insert new ideas in the conclusion. Avoid quotation in a conclusion. What is needed very often is to open new perspective, some points which has not been raised by your text, and you would some other students emphasize on it. New perspective is very often a theme which has not been dealt with, and other students would deal with. Another point, it is what I call, the student should open new perspective in their conclusion. These are points which have not been raised, and you would like some others raise it. And I would like to end up with what is called the theoretical framework, which is often called the schools of thoughts. And I should take only 3 or 4. Postmodernism, post-colonial studies, and gender studies. When I was in the 70s, this school of thoughts did not exist. We don't talk about post-colonial studies, we don't talk about postmodernism. We only talk about feminism, whose new calling is gender studies by the American. Don't be careful. Try to have some theoretical framework in their work to defend it and to give it a deep meaning. Okay, guys, it's just what I would like to emphasize on. It has been said, but I would like just to emphasize on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dean. And as the saying goes, experience talks. Yeah, really, we appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Law. Yeah, another, one who would like to take the floor, students, okay, or colleagues, tutors. Okay. Yes, while still waiting. We are still waiting for.
Yes, tell them they are free to ask questions. So I have already shared my presentations in the chat. Yeah. You have the PDF files there. You can review them open to any question.
I don't know whether Theo here, Theo.
No, it's not Theo. It is Mom, I think.
It's Mom. Yeah, because I had problems to activate my webcam. It doesn't work. I don't know why. So I don't have the possibility to share my work on the platform.
You go to the chat. You go to the chat.
Yes, I know, but you cannot see the tab here. The tab which allows you to,
Oh, really? I have been able to share.
Now, now it works.
Yeah, I think Ndarao says that he has raised his hand. Ndarao Fai, yes, Ndarao.
Yeah, Ndarao, yes.
Yes, Ndarao. It must be a contribution.
Yeah, Ndarao Fai, you can.
Ndarao, yes.
Yes, Chairman Said Nuruja
Right,
also. If you have a question, you can.
Thank you so much. Yeah, they just gave me the floor. I did not have the microphone, that's why. Well, I really would like to thank you all for this brilliant opportunity for all of us, but also for students. I'm not sure why Dr. Loh did not focus the idea of reading different theses, different proposals, because Dr. Dia mentioned something very important, the product and the process. And when you talk about the product, it is something which is already done. You have to read it to see it exactly and feel it. But when you have the process, it comes to you now, trying what you have seen. It's like to speak, since there are many people are here, if you see some chebujen, you can see the chebujen is very nice. You want try to touch it, to feel it, to test it, and see exactly how it is. Now, most of the time when you see that, you will say, oh, how is it made now? You will be curious about how this is made. Then you are interested in the process of making it. So again, Dr. Loh used to say, you have to read at least 4, 5 master's thesis before you can think of writing a thesis. Unfortunately, most of the students, they just walk up at the end of the process and say, I want to write my thesis. Yeah, you have to just to sign over here. I want to write my thesis. And they have never read any. So they have never seen the product. And most of the time they start with even choosing the topic. How do we choose a topic? And I would like to invite the English cell to kind of deconstruct the thing. When I say deconstruct here, I mean using some chunks. For example, how do we choose a topic? How do we frame a topic itself? What are the main components that we need to see in a topic to make it feasible? Because when we talk about a topic, we need to think about feasibility. Is it something that I can do? It's interesting. I'm interested in this, but can I do it? Is it something that we can explore using a method? And so on and so forth. And how do we approach the topic? How do we deconstruct it? How do we set the background? What are some elements that we need to put in the background? And then further, what is a theoretical framework, for example? A theoretical framework is, as Dr. Loh said, is what we call the magnifying glasses. That's a way of looking at the data. That's the way of looking at the information. All right? Depending on the magnifying glass, you will see different things. For example, 2 people may work with the same data with different approaches. That is the theoretical framework. And depending on the area where you are, it may differ. Okay. Another thing is citation. Citation, even something which is obvious, may need citation if you have seen it somewhere. And that is not going to weaken your work. Instead, that is going to strengthen it because you are showing that you have read somewhere. You have read something and you want to show that this is exactly something that I read somewhere. And then you have to acknowledge it. This is not only ethical, but it is also scholarly, because when you are writing a dissertation or a thesis, you are entering a debate on the basis of what people have said already. That is what we call the state of the affairs, or the literature review. What has other people have found, and what is something that is missing that I want to answer for. So this is your contribution in the debate. Again, if you want to contribute in the debate, you want to know exactly what people have said, what people have found on that. So again, I'm inviting everyone, if they really want to write a dissertation, they have to read many of those. And there are many available online, which you can read. Either the University Sheikh Anta Diop, for example, they have many in their online library, but also there are many internationally which are available online, which you can read as you want. So I'm really inviting you to seeing the product again and again and trying to use the process of writing it. Thank you so very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, dear colleague, Mr. Nraufai, for your brilliant input. I think students have jotted down. Yeah, so Dr. Dia, I think there is a student whose name is Said Nurija, who is asking a question whether they will be given the topic or it's up to them to find out the topic.
Yes, thank you for that question. To me, I think I said that I talked about conceptualization for those who are in literature. For in any domain, I think topic choice, it's general. So what is better is conceptualize your own topic. Find interest in it. You know, people cannot give you appetite. People can cook for you, but you find appetite for yourself. I think that's what is reasonable. So read by yourself and think of what you can do and see what is, because the danger is usually I advise people against going and asking a professor to give them money, because when you do that, you are stuck. You have, it's not what I told you. The topic is about this, about this. Finally, you see that this person is kind of guiding your mind, and understand that research is personal. It isn't a question that you solve or you want to resolve. So always find your own topic. Say, this is the topic I want to work with. At the very beginning, it may be clear or not clear, but your supervisor would help you structure, have a clear structure of it, or label it in a better way. But saying that, okay, I don't give any topic to my students. I say, okay, come with something. I myself, I did not like it when I was a student. That's why usually when we say, okay, if you come with one topic to avoid keeping the student doing the same thing every time, you say, please propose me 3 topics. At least I'm sure, and I say, okay, depending on what you have done, and very relevant things. That's why I say, don't go and just come back and say, okay, this is what I have found. Sometimes you see people who bring a topic and they don't have any idea about the topic. This is not reasonable. So where is the conceptualization? How was it conceptualized? Do you check the feasibility, how it works, or what was the link? What was the motivation? So to sum up, find your own topic, it's better. I never impose my students' topic. There are some people who do that, or there are some faculty that do that, but personally, I think my teaching philosophy does not encourage me in this practice. I prefer students choose their own topics. If there is something to reformulate or they need help, I help them. Thank you. I give the floor to Dr. CISSOKO. So Dr. CISSOKO has shared his work with me. He has technical issues. I'm going to take it and share it in the chat so that you have access to Dr. CISSOKO's presentation. I give you back the floor.
Oh. Thank you, dear colleague, dear moderator. Just to following my colleague's heels, I will be repeating the same thing, because you are the one supposed to work on a specific topic, on a specific field. So we cannot, ask you or propose you a topic at the very inception, because this will be guiding you, or let's say imposing you, or trying to push you to maybe choose something you are not willing to choose. But what we can do is this. You choose a topic, formulate it, we can help you reformulate. But the problem is still, some students, as mentioned a while ago, They have even problems. If you ask them, what do you want to really demonstrate? What do you want to show here? They have problems to explain you clearly what they really intend to do. And this is a problem, as he said. So conceptualization is fundamental. When you are thinking of a topic, you should clearly state what you want to work on and how you intend to, conduct you. But if everything is not clear at your level, it's a problem. So this is something very important to keep in mind. Thank you, Mr. Keta. Over to you.
Chat questions in the chat. If students want to use the microphone mode, also it is possible. You can allow them to take the mic and speak. That is possible too.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm a student actually. My name is Mami Yasin Sise.
Yeah.
I'm from the Core 10. So
yeah,
I was interested in the subject. So I really appreciate the presentation you did, and it really got a lot of information, and it was really interesting and interactive. So I got some questions because you've been talking about the content of the thesis, but actually I want to know more about the format, like the font size, the font that we should supposed to use, the size, the length of the thesis, like how many pages, the minimum pages, the maximum one, and also the distance that we should let between the lines, like when we are writing, the size of the titles, the subtitles, and all those kind of things. Like,
yes. Are you done?
oh yes.
Okay. So
Hello.
yes, go
Hello.
on.
Hello.
Yes.
Mr. Sani from Jiganshaw.
Yeah,
Right.
Sani.
I'm a teacher. I'm very pleased to be here to listen to you, Dr. Dia and Dr. CISSOKO. So particularly Dr. Dia, when you speak, when you present, it takes me back to my classroom practices, because I appreciate the different steps that you demonstrated, notably the pre, the while, and the post. So in the secondary schools, we also talk about the pre-reading, for example, while reading and post-reading. It's very important to guide the students to understand the different steps that you demonstrated here when you are in research context. So I really appreciate and thank you very much for your brilliant presentation. So my question is, when we talk about the problem with the different subpoints, so I want to ask you if dealing with the problem, you are going to explain fully the problem or to state it in a form of question. In that case, I fear that it can be confusing with the research question. What are we expected to do when we are at the problem level? Thank you.
All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Theophile. Guys, have you all received? Okay, I have shared it only with some people. Can you all receive my presentation? Theophile has just mentioned that I should select everyone, envoyer à tout le monde. Okay, now this is mine, and this is Dr. CISSOKO's. Yeah. Theophile, merci, the technician.
Where can we see it? Me personally, I don't see it.
It is in the chat. It is in the chat now.
The chat box.
Yes, find it in the chat box. You will find it there. I have shared both presentations. Okay, so I start with Mom. Mom, thank you. You are cohort 10, so it's good. It's the bachelor program. So it's good already to anticipate. That's what I said. Okay, you could take advantage of this. Interesting question. So I start with pages. Never worry about number of pages. But the standard is a master's thesis ranges from 70 pages to 100. In the former system, they used to tell us 80 to 100 and 150. But now it's reasonable. It's not the matter of pages. Now, you will, if you do what you have to do, you will come up with this number of pages. Everyone was worried about this. Do not worry. Never say, I'm asked to write 100 pages. No, you are asked to write a thesis. If instead of 70 pages, you come up with 69 pages, would I impose you to go and add one more page? I don't care about this. I check the result. It's quality, not quantity. All right. So this is very important. So in terms of fonts, it is 12. Police dues. Normally, interline 1.5. Interligne 1.5. Yes. Times New Roman. Select time New Roman. Academic writing, it's time New Roman. In the past, people used Arial, but Arial was at the time of the typist machine, or temps de dactylo. Now it is computer, all right? That's why you use Times New Roman. When it comes to title of books, so you don't underline, on souligne plus, you use italics, okay? When you use the italics, it's okay. And then number of pages for a proposal. In this, that's why I say you don't need to deal with the whole review of literature. Tell me about preliminary literature. Review of literature would come later. So if you come up with 5 to 6 pages, it's okay for your proposal. There are some who develop up to 10. Bibliography, I ask you a selective bibliography. So 2 pages of bibliography, it's okay. Show me what primary sources you want to read. And I see some important secondary sources. So in 2 pages, it's okay. This is selective, but your final bibliography will be more exhaustive. All right? So the key elements I ask you to develop, all right? Meaning the background, the problem, and everything. That's why I say these are paragraphs. Don't use bullet points. It's not a project, yes. Use academic writing. It is an argumentative text. Don't come up with bullet points. No, I don't like bullet points. Seriously speaking, I'm very strict on that. This is academic writing. Don't isolate points. Analyze points. All right, so I think this question is okay for Sane. Thank you very much for your input. Yes, to answer your question, problem is affirmative. It's not interrogative. Yes, it is affirmative. Am I clear? Because avoid the excessive use of interrogations unless you come to the stage of research questions. It is affirmative. It has to be analyzed and developed. It has to be very critical in strong analysis. The problem. In French, they call it problématique. And the verb is problématiser. It means to show that there is a problem. I say in real life, if there is a problem, this is critical. This is a serious situation. But in research, the paradigm is if there is not a problem, this is a serious problem. A paper with no problem has a problem already. So the problem should be very present, and the problem should be developed, shown in a way that it convinces these people that there is an issue. I hope I answered your question. So the problem is affirmative. Don't make it in an interrogative. No, it has to be developed critically, related to previous research, showing the gap, all right? When you bring the gap, I say, identify a gap and find a territory, occupy the territory, establish your territory. So you find the gap. Thank you. I give the floor to Dr. CISSOKO.
Thank you very much, dear colleague. I think I have one question in the chat. Somebody was asking about the What are the most challenging, I think, themes in African linguistics, something like that. As African students of linguistics, what are the most challenging, themes in linguistics? And most of the time, we all know that as Africans, we are in multilingual, countries, and the most topical issues very often concern language contact. Okay, the consequences of language contact. Among them, we have, loan words or borrowings. Okay, you have language attrition, meaning language tests, right? It is a situation which is not so frequent in some countries, but we can come across them, right? So you have, cultural hybridization, all right? And you have too many topics on which you can work: language planning, language policy, whatever. But please be quite clear when it comes to choose a topic, because the topic you are choosing, you should make sure that you know what you intend to do. Because if you want to just every time resort to, the supervisor, this may be complex, because this is a way of asking him to influence you on the choice you are making, whereas this should not be the case. He is just here to help you reformulate, organize your ideas, and guide you. And what you should put in mind is, at the very inception, with the primary sources you got, okay, what are the different, let's say, offers you want to go through the words and try to understand before you write. And this will help you choose a very relevant topic and know how to approach it. And you'll be easily guided. But if you do the contrary, it will be complicated. So this is what I have to say on this question. I'm trying to scroll back up and down, but I cannot see. Yes, miss. To be back on topics in grammar and linguistics. Yes. So you have many things to say. It depends on you. The choice of the topic, as I said, is not the supervisor. But you as a student, you should go through your readings, okay, to discover some topics you may try to approach. And then with the contribution of the supervisor, you may know how to approach your topic and be clearly, focused. So I think this is for the supervisors anyway. Yes, if we don't have the possibility to take all of the students, all candidates, so we have the possibility to put you in contact with either tutors or other colleagues from other universities, okay, as practice. I think that's okay, Mr. Keta, because I was reading through.
Yeah. I think there is another question raised by the students, Sheikh J. He is raising the issue when some student has problem to lay a hand on some the hard copy, some document hard copies. Is he allowed to use online, resources?
Yes. Okay. Very often, how I proceed is this. Writing a dissertation is a very serious task. You should not just stay at home and expect to. Though we're here to support, we are here to guide, we are here to help. We can give you some documents, but we cannot say that all the documents you need, we can give them to you, because it's not even obvious, because you are the one who has selected your topic. That's first. We can give you the documents we have. That's quite possible. But they have the possibility to go down the libraries. They can go at Cheikh Anta Diop. They can go at Gaston Berger. Okay? even the online library, you can find some very interesting and very relevant documents online. You can explore them. Okay, so this is not a problem. If, for instance, I work with a student who is dealing with linguistics, social linguistics, grammar, if I have the documents, no problem, I can share them with you. Okay, and the colleagues, they do the same. This is not a problem. For documents, okay, we can put them at your disposal. Okay. 4 to 5 theories.
All right. I think I have seen a
question.
Some questions. Okay.
Yes.
Someone like Astel, I don't know who are going to send. Are we going to send our topics? Okay. Somebody said that there are cohort 7 students. Yes, cohort 7 has already completed third semester. I said it in the forum group where we have all master students of the English department. So now we have taken this decision, this initiative as an innovation. We don't need to wait until semester 3 of the second year of the master program to tell you, go and find it. That takes too much time. You will take 2 extra years to develop your master. So you will finally realize that you have spent 4 years for the master program, which is not reasonable. So there is no text that strictly prevents students from choosing their topics in the first year of the master. That's the reason why we have initiated this. Maybe cohort 7 are just done. They have to move to that step. And we deemed it necessary to have this session so that you have an idea of what to do. Now you have to already conceptualize, to think of something. So I go one by one. For example, in linguistics, you have already Dr. CISSOKO who is here, who can work with you. You can contact Dr. CISSOKO. You can contact Dr. Mariama Sodandao, who has been recruited now. And there is a number of tutors and other, affiliated professors who help in the supervision. It's not a problem. He can be your contact person. If it's okay, he can work with you, he will take you. If the number of students he is overseeing is too high, he can refer you to another colleague. So just send an email to the program coordinator, Dr. Mahiblo. There is a dispatching. So it is up to you to choose who you want to work with. So for linguistics and grammar, I say Dr. CISSOKO is already here. He is a faculty. And this year we have a new one, Dr. Ndao Maria Masoda, and there are others who are tutors or who are in other universities who still collaborate with us. So they can help you. There is a number of supervisors. In the field of literature, for those working in American studies or comparative literature, they come directly to me. I repeat, American studies, American literature or civilization, and comparative studies, they come directly to me. If they want to work on British studies, they either work with Dr. Sane, Alaji Mamadou, who is not here, he is busy, or the new colleague, it is Dr. Usainu Juf. We have now 2 colleagues in British studies. For those who want to work in African studies, we have 2 colleagues now. There is Dr. Sajo, Muhammadu Samsudin Sajo, and Dr. Pierre Maliktin. And the number is huge. It's large. We can have more. There are more professors in other universities who work with us and tutors who can. I'm talking about those who are here as faculty permanent, so they can directly work with you. In case we find the number too big, we can extend it to other colleagues. It's very easy. So there are, so in either domain, there are many colleagues who work on that. I think that's it. For topic choice, it's up to you. If some of you think that they are ready, they have something they want to work with, send me a message tomorrow. I'm in the group, in the forum. Identify me. Start now. You have my contact number, you have my email, we work on. But it's important that you understand the different steps and not rush. Do not rush. It's not a rush. You can start your master thesis today. I start my master thesis in December and I finish before you. Why is that? It's important. All is a matter of approach and methodology and how focused you are. I think this is important. Somebody asked about number of questions. How many research questions? This technically people have to be very careful with that. Research question is plural, but it depends on the scope of the work, of the study. The number of research questions for a PhD are not the same as the number of research questions for a master's thesis. And not the same if it is just a paper, an article, a research paper. It depends. So it depends on your concern, on your problem, what you want to resolve. So I would not say this is typically the limit now. I know if somebody says I have 8, I would say that is too much. These are the general questions, and I will move to the second question. What is the difference between general? It's just like objectives. There are general objectives, there are specific objectives, but be very careful with that. In the introduction, it is a main introduction of the whole work. Put the essential questions. It means the general questions. If you want to put, let us say, 5 questions, and you put 5 sub-questions, it's going to be 10. So it follows the flow of the work. Those you call specific questions, I understand. They are the subsections. You are already detailing the work. Do you need that? The main questions. And during your, when you finish with part 1, you deal with part 1, and you go to section 1. Probably section 1 is about one specific question, and section 2. So the whole question is question of part 1. That's what I want to demonstrate in chapter 1. But if chapter 1 has 2 or 3 sections, so it means chapter 1 has 3 sub-questions. So these sub-questions, so do you necessarily need them to announce them since the introduction? So you are detailing details, which is not necessary. It's very redundant. So academic writing is very rigorous. You need to find a style that really gets you closer to the standard and avoid poor academic writing. And methodology matters. For the sake of coherence, keep the research questions. So those you call specific, they can appear later in the analysis or in the development. All right, I hope I answered these questions. I let my colleagues if they have some input. Thank you.
Yes, I think your answers have been clear. So they have to pay attention on that, because if you
Yeah, I think Dr. Caesar has, connectivity issues.
Yeah, I guess, yes.
they don't and they don't understand, so they may be lost, and they cannot be here asking, okay, what do you mean by this? What do you really want to say here? So you have to be as precise as possible when it comes to writing the dissertation. Now, coming to even the let's say research questions, as he said, it depends on the theme, on your work, how you need to organize it. It doesn't mean forcibly that you should have 5 research questions. No, you may have even 2 research questions, or 1 on 1, depending on the relevance of your topic. So this is not a problem. You have to be careful. Make sure that whatever you are trying to deal with, you have the arguments, the necessary arguments to to sustain your position, to defend your position. That's very important. So over to you, Mr. Keita. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. I think students.
So I have problems. For those who need my contact, I have problems to write in the chat. I don't know what's happening because whenever I write something, it doesn't move. I don't know why. Now I transferred the number to my colleague Ja to share it in the chat because I have two problems to share.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. So yes, I mean, students, I think
there is one question that is, what do you suggest to deal with problems of accessing reading materials, hard copies? Are there dedicated libraries that a student can be directed to, and how about accreditation for online resources? Interesting question.
I think I had
no limit. There is no boundary. Research has no limit. It is a no border land. Research is a no border land. You are Sheikh Hamid Khan Digital University students, but nothing prevents you from going to Dakar, to Sheikh Anta Diop. Online is open. There are open sources. Now with the advent of internet, with information technology, you can access a lot of electronic copies. But be sure that you have the good references. The full references are there. There are some electronic copies that are not good. You don't find the copyright. You don't find the date of publication. You have not the front matters. What I call the front matters, for example, if you take an isolated article, I can share my article with you. While the article starts only on the introduction. It starts with the introduction. That's a problem. You have the content, you have the material, but you don't have any idea about the full reference of the article. The front matters should be there, where it has been taken from. It's a journal or this or that. So Cyberlibris, Recivillibris is a library, online library. You can ask the admin, they can, admin, Jibril Jallo did a lot of, sensitization on that. You can have it. So if you have the chance to go to other libraries, for example, Dakar, they have a database. We are now trying to have a database to collect all the theses that have been defended, to put them in a link so that you get access to them. But it is open, as I told you, research is a non-border land. It has no frontier. So as much as you can do that. That's possible. So just avoid, how can I say, materials that are not credible. So the front matters or the copyright issue, so you will have problems. So internet links, also be very careful. When you use internet links, provide the date of access. For example, if I have a good article of Mr. Keita, I say, Mr. Keita, it has no date of publication. I say, I have taken it from Seneweb or BBC, or I put date of access. I say access August the 12th, 2026. Maybe next August, it won't be there. It protects me that at this specific moment. You cannot provide the date. You cannot provide also, you can provide the date of access, but you cannot provide the page. You put the link. That's one thing. That's a very good question. So they need to know that. So for topic choice, in the past, what we did is, the program coordinator, Dr. Mahib, would at a certain moment ask all the students to come and submit their topics. You don't need that. I told you we will give you a list. What we organize, we will organize a meeting. The issue is faculty members are going to take their vacations. I don't want to engage in that, all right? It's personal. But we will find a way of working in distance. So what we do is that each one is going to identify themselves. Their students will know them, and then you work personally. So as I told you, those working in American studies and comparative literature, I'm open. I'm an open book to you. I'm in all your WhatsApp groups. I have a WhatsApp group of all my students and everything, no problem. So we will organize a meeting where we tell you this is how you work. This is the one you work with. So do not wait until people tell you go and find a topic, something like that. So we will write to the administration to get the Cyberlibris link that will help you very, very much. All right. So also there are what we call resourceful person. You can work with me, but if you find Mr. Keita can help you in this in terms of resources, that's always the case. He can provide you with a lot of materials, resources, everything. Curiosity. Even among students, there are some of you who got things. Books that others do not have. You even can get some books that your professors do not have. That is also one fundamental thing to understand. I don't know, there should be here, continuous education program, UFC, all right? Maybe they are less connected to us than the others, but you are all on the same footing, all right? Feel free for those who are in the different areas I mentioned, if you have some issues, contact me. I will put you in touch. These are professionals, UFCA students, okay? I will put you in touch though, who is in your domain of expertise. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
Alassane,
thank you, Doctor, for your input. I think, yeah, Dr. Maib, do you want to say?
I say, Alassane, if you can talk about what I call the taboo question, the artificial intelligence, how
Yes.
now is destroying the text of students. If you can add some words about this taboo question, it would be better.
Yes,
Okay.
AI, I talked about the ethical use of references.
Okay.
Be very
good.
careful with AI.
Mm.
I understand if we develop the AI issue, we can spend more than 2 hours, more than we have started to develop the AI. Because people would say, and this, be very careful now with the commas, with the commas. In the past, professors were not required to bring the dissertation of students they supervise. Now it is a requirement. All dissertations will be scanned. It will be scanned to check the level of plagiarism, number one, and the level of use of AI. So be very careful. Some of my students attempted that, and I told them to avoid that. Use your own potential. Use your own potential. Take things very seriously. If you do that, it shows up. I easily understand. The style is very easy to recognize. And what is the value? What is the purpose behind that? So the thing is, AI should not be an excuse. It could be a tool for research, but it cannot replace you. Use your mind. This is artificial intelligence. We are humans, endowed with every faculty of thinking and everything. How can we undermine our potential to replace ourselves with robots? So it's impossible. Take things seriously, don't expose yourself. There is strict control, there are institutional decisions, measures on how to curb the issue of AI in institutions. So you are warned enough. So please, if you read books, you did it. Sometimes you see people who come and just say, I have read this, they have not read. They go and find a summary. It's very dangerous. How would you quote that book? How can you pretend that you have read a book which you have not read? You say, I have just used it. I continue investigating, and finally you confirm me that you have not read it. It becomes ridiculous. So this is very important for all of us. Let us have an ethical use of these tools, and let us respect academic conventions for your own credibility and for the credibility of the institution. I don't want to engage in a very long debate on this university said this said that. All is a matter of institutional position and decision. But just to let you know that the COMES is very strict on this kind of things. So all dissertations are now scanned. The university has a software. That's why anyone who sends me a work, I take time, I send it to the vice president, and I scan it to check the level of that. Yeah. So let us be very careful. Let us be very responsible.
Just to add 2 words.
It can help you get a lot of sources. And the danger is AI invents. AI lies, sorry for that. AI can tell you, give you sources that do not exist. And this is forged. It means you are inventing sources. The biggest danger in case I evaluate a work and I find their, forged sources. So fabricated sources, let me use very clear language. Fabricated sources. I have all the reasons to decline the work and to reject. I'm ready to write 100 pages of a report. That work will never pass, even in academic work. I'm a reviewer. I work with a lot of journals. I review articles, which I do not sometimes sell. You see, when I say this kind of thing, I take, they have all their, system that helps detect these kind of. So fabricated sources is very dangerous. I find sometimes and the AI will give you, they take my article, they reformulate it. They give me another title. How can you make me produce things I have not done? So to cut it short, be very careful with that. And let us be informed about this reality. Thank you.
Data, just 2 words about the artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Students don't know that it is too easy for professors to know the origin of the text. If the decile is too high, automatically they say that it is artificial intelligence. Be careful. If you quote or if you cheat, the level of the language is too high, and everybody knows that it is not of yours. It is not your, what I call in French, niveau de langue. If the niveau de langue is too high, automatically the professor will say it is not something of your own. Be careful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor, for your insightful inputs. Yeah, Dr. Dia, if you allow me just to, add a point.
Let's go.
I think based on your 2 presentations, what comes up to my mind is that students should bear in mind that writing a thesis, a master's thesis, is just a way to bring your, added value to, the knowledge production. Because bear in mind that if you go back, for example, to Roland Barthes in his writings, Le Degré Zéro de la Littérature, he says that writing or literature is a palimpsest. Yeah, it means that there is no blank topic. You cannot find a field which has never been, discovered. Now, what is important is just to find something scholars have, dealt with. You're gonna analyze. You're gonna using many angles of analysis. You will see what can tune with, our world nowadays. You're gonna deconstruct, as said Michael Indarao, and try to see now what is left aside, or maybe the writers haven't, covered. You're gonna spot out this point and bring your cornerstone, and that is now what is your academic contribution. It is just writing. Now, if you have this in mind, for sure you will mine, artificial, devices. You will, because your credibility is going to appear, on this work. That's why, if you have this in mind, you should be very careful. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So I think there is no more question unless we skip some, we forgot. I understand that there is a lot of interest of students. It's time to thank all colleagues, Mr. Keita, the moderator, and my colleague, Dr. CISSOKO. It's time to acknowledge the collaboration of the administration, our technician, Mr. Theophile, and the DCM team and everyone in the Pôle. And to thank my colleagues who have not been able to be here, Dr. Sane, and 4 new colleagues who are busy with administrative formalities. And to appreciate the presence of our collaborators, tutors who are the giants, the big army, always fighting for the success and the advancements of the institution. And to thank and to congratulate the Master Program Coordinator, Dr. Mahiblo, and to appreciate our students for their commitment. I love it the way you do everywhere people call you upon you answer. It means your sense of responsibility is very much appreciated. That's what we need in our institution. So it's just the beginning. Many things will come up. Yes, many things will come. And I appreciate the presence of UFCA students, the auditors who are here. So understand, as I told you, that you all on the same footing. We're here for you all. Sometimes people may be busy. You can send reply or respond very quickly, very automatically. But understand that attention has been given to you. A lot of attention has been given to you. I struggle to respond in time to all, questions that the student asked me either via WhatsApp or email, and the administration is doing its best. We have a strategic plan, an action plan that takes into consideration these details in terms of pedagogy. So let us take the project seriously, and together, we can climb mountains. And together we can bring success, and together we will win. I truly believe in this philosophy of Dr. Martin Luther King. We shall overcome, and we shall overcome. So thank you so very much. Have a very nice day. It was a long day of reflection, but very fruitful. So have a very nice day. Thank you so very much. Thank you, dear colleagues.
Okay. Thank you, bye. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Dr. Dia, for your words, and it was really